In this video, you will learn how to study examples, stories that show how obeying God can improve your life. The Bible has commands everywhere. Some people like them, but others have a problem. Why should they blindly follow what some old book says? Think of commands as an analog clock. If you watch a clock, the hands appear to move without reason. But look underneath and you'll see how it works. One gear turns, other gears turn with it, and the hands move. God's commands work the same way. To see how they work, you need to look under the surface. So, how do you look deeper? We need to look at people who either followed or disobeyed the commands. Their stories show how these commands work in real life. They are examples. There are several definitions for the word example, but the one we want is that examples illustrate general rules. Let's say that you have a rule that you must tie your shoes. An example illustrates the rule, either how to keep it or what happens when you don't. To show how this works, let's walk through the story of Abram and Sarai going to Egypt in Genesis chapter 12. The first thing that happened is that a famine struck the place where they lived, meaning they didn't have much food. Next, to escape the famine, they went down to Egypt, where the Nile River gave lots of food to the Egyptians. But as they were traveling, Abram was worried. Sarai was beautiful, and Abram was afraid that the Egyptians would kill him and take her for themselves. So Abram had an idea. Sarai would be his sister, and Abram would be safe. In short, Abram asked Sarai to lie about their marriage. When we look at a story, we need to ask, did the person do the right thing? Well, we need to eat, so there's nothing wrong with running from a famine. Egypt had food, so going there wasn't a bad idea either. And God did create us to protect our own lives within reason. But was it good for Abram and Sarai to lie about their marriage? God's command is clear. Don't bear false witness. In other words, tell the truth. But why? What's wrong with a lie to protect your life? Instead of giving us a sermon on why lying is wrong, Genesis 12 uses cause and effect to make its point. Every action has consequences, and Genesis 12 shows us the consequences of Abram and Sarai's lie. We'll learn by example. The first thing that happened is that Pharaoh did notice Sarai, and since Abram was her brother, he gave Abram lots of nice stuff to win his favor. In other words, Abram benefited from the lie. But then God got involved and plagued Pharaoh for taking someone else's wife. The lie led to a bad decision by Pharaoh, which then made him suffer. Somehow, Pharaoh found out that he was tricked, and that Abram's lie caused his problems. Tricking the king of Egypt is naturally a bad idea, and so he got angry about it. Pharaoh then banished Abram and Sarai from Egypt. Instead of enjoying Egypt's food, they were forced to return to their home country and the famine that they tried to escape. So, how did lying work out? Not very good. The lie helped Abram at the start, but Pharaoh made bad decisions because of it, and when Pharaoh found out, he got angry and retaliated. Clearly, lying doesn't pay. Stories become more useful when you turn them into a general outline. Lying benefits someone, but causes others to make bad decisions. Then they find out the truth, get angry, and cause problems. And even if no one ever found out, the lie still led others to make bad and harmful decisions. That's how lying works, and that's why God tells us not to do it. It causes unnecessary pain and suffering. This is how you study examples. You summarize the story, look for cause and effect, and decide for yourself if it was a good or bad idea. The great thing about examples is that they are universal. They don't just apply to one person. They apply to people in families, people in towns and cities, and people all over planet Earth. Even if you flew into space, lying would still have the same bad results. They also apply to people of all kinds: young men, elderly men, women, and even foreigners. We're all human, and we all work the same way. The Bible is full of examples to learn from. people with food addictions, drinking problems, pride, fear, and even pornography. Want to see what happens when you take revenge? Read about Samson when he burned the fields of the Philistines and how the Philistines fought back. What about taking on an entire army with just 2 people? Read about Jonathan and his helper and how their courage opened the doors for God to work. All of these examples are in the Bible, so we can learn from them. That way, we can copy their successes and avoid their mistakes. We can see why God's way really is the best way.